Today, we're going to take a closer look at 5 creatures that people thought were fake, but aren't. And you're gonna want to stick around for number 1, because it is some serious nightmare fuel. Let's get started, shall we? Number 5. The Devil Bird. Sometimes called Ulama, the Devil Bird is one of the most fearsome icons in Sri Lankan folklore. According to locals, the Devil Bird lives deep in the thick jungles of the area. The legend goes that thousands of years ago, a man bludgeoned his wife's infant son, and when she caught him in the act, she couldn't bear to see the child. She turned in anguish and ran into the jungle before collapsing to her knees and letting out a blood-curdling scream. This cry was said to awaken the spirits of the jungle, who, angry with her, transformed her into the Devil Bird to forevermore live out her terror. For thousands of years since, villagers have reported hearing a human-esque shriek of terror coming from the depths of the jungle. During the 1800s, scientists were able to track down a terrifying breed of owl known as the spot-bellied eagle owl. Even the name sounds like a creature you don't want to mess with. An adult spot-bellied eagle owl is recognized as a very powerful and bold predatory bird who predominantly takes large and impressive prey, much of which is as heavy or heavier than the eagle owl itself. Some of the incredible prey claimed by eagle owls include moonshacks, also called barking deer, large monitor lizards, and even golden jackals. But perhaps the most terrifying thing about this fierce creature is that its cries are notably human. And in July of 2001, it was confirmed that descriptions of the Devil Bird perfectly matched the spot-bellied eagle owl. This in turn led many researchers to believe that this creature is the source of the Ulama legend. While very few recordings of the chilling cry exist, one that does sound like this. I think I'll just stay away from violent screaming jungle birds for a little while, thank you very much, I'm going now. Number 4. African Unicorn. So, unicorns don't exist, right? Well, strictly speaking, no. But then again, this is no ordinary unicorn. For hundreds of years, people described this strange creature throughout Uganda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. But it's only been recently that people carry cameras with them literally everywhere they go. So, needless to say, it was very difficult to prove what they had seen. If that wasn't enough, the creature was extremely elusive and fled almost instantly when spotted. This made it difficult for people who saw it to even be sure of what they'd seen. Expeditions were launched to find the creature, but most of them turned up empty-handed, and those who didn't would return with remnants from decaying specimens, but still, nobody knew what they were. What little they did know seemed unreal. For one, the creature had mysterious horns growing from its head in a way that immediately reminded people of legendary unicorns. Furthermore, because no one could catch one, they seemed almost magical. As time went on, the legend of the great African unicorn grew. Because so few people had ever seen one, it was surmised that the creature had magical powers, and that those who were selected by it could not only see the magical beast, but would also inherit its powers. It wasn't until the late 1800s that someone was able to capture one alive and confirm once and for all that the creature was in fact real. Unfortunately, it turned out not to possess magical powers, but was simply highly skilled at vanishing into the thick forest when it felt threatened. Magic powers or not, I gotta tell ya, this creature is actually pretty awesome. It's called an okapi and is currently a threatened species despite the efforts of governments to protect them. They are coveted for their meat and skin, and poachers have gone to great lengths to get what they want. In June of 2012, an okapi conservation facility was attacked by poachers. The attack was brutal, costing the lives of 6 staff members and 14 okapis. And while this incredible creature may not be a relative of the mystical unicorn, it is the only living relative of the giraffe. Even though it might not have magical powers to bestow upon us, this is still one pretty cool animal. Number 3. The Kraken.
Release the Kraken!
For hundreds of years, sailors swore that a massive beast lived in the depths of the ocean, and seamen, Vikings, and pirates all came back with similar stories. Unfortunately, many of these travelers were returning home from long voyages, and were often malnourished, fatigued, and, drunk. It was tough to say for sure what they had seen, and many people thought that perhaps they had seen nothing at all, or maybe most likely that they had seen a whale of some type and their eyes had simply tricked them. Still, despite the skepticism, seafaring voyagers continued to come back chilled to the bone from what they'd seen, telling anyone who would listen that there was truly a beast living in the waters. These men faced ridicule, but continued to swear by their stories, and from here the legends grew. And soon, the Kraken, as it came to be known, was a key character in various fictional works. Even to this day, you can find the Kraken in movies. Some of you might even remember that Davy Jones commanded one in Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. While I doubt anybody could really control a creature of such size, some brave researchers did go investigating to get to the bottom of the larger-than-life tales. Despite hundreds of years of searching, it seemed that all the tales were likely just delusional yarns, spun by famished, intoxicated sailors. But then in 1925, all of that changed. It was then that researchers discovered what would later be named the colossal squid. To this day, only a handful of specimens exist. However, these monstrous creatures have long tentacles covered in sharp hooks that it uses mainly to defend itself against predators such as sperm whales and sleeper sharks. The largest colossal squid ever captured weighed well over 1,000 pounds and was nearly 20 feet long. But based on remains that have been found, scientists believe that even larger members of the species exist. And if its enormous size wasn't enough to draw parallels to the Kraken, there are also modern reports of schooners, racing yachts, and even Navy vessels being attacked by this massive creature, leaving very little doubt that this beast was behind tales from ancient times of the fearsome man-eating Kraken. Now it's time for the day's best pick. Today's image was sent to us by a subscriber just like you. Want to see your favorite photo in a future video? Send us any image or clip and we'll research it and include it in an upcoming video. Number 2. Horned Baby. Today's user submission shows a frightening skeleton of a young child who appears to not only have 2 heads but horns as well. Surely there is no way that this could be real, right? Well, hang in there because you might be surprised. 2-headed babies are actually more common than you may think. In fact, 11% of all conjoined twins are dicephalic parapagus twins, or if you're not a scientist, 2-headed. While the prognosis often isn't good for affected children, 3 sets of 2-headed twins have survived into adulthood, the most famous of which are probably Abby and Brittany Hensel. These two have appeared on several television shows and even had their own reality show in 2013 called Abby and Brittany. Now that we know a little more about 2-headed babies, this picture gets a little easier to look at. But what about those horns? Humans with horns are significantly rarer, and generally when we see them it is the result of extreme body modification. But we highly doubt that the baby in this picture paid to have those horns put there. The far more likely possibility is that this baby was actually born with these menacing horns. Several ancient skeletons have been unearthed with horns, and even some modern individuals have presented with horns. Some of these modern people include 101-year-old woman named Zhang Ruifeng, and a Manchurian farmer named Wang, who had a 13-inch ram-like horn growing from the back of his head. Based on this evidence, it is quite possible that the skeletal remains in this photo belonged to an unfortunate child who was afflicted by both these abnormalities simultaneously, and sadly perished at a young age. Now, let's take a moment for our honorary mentions. The duck-billed platypus. Sure, you and I know that this creature is 100% legit. I mean, no one nowadays would ever try to convince you that they don't exist. However, that wasn't the case at the dawn of the 19th century. In fact, when explorers returned with descriptions of the find, officials concluded that it must have been a hoax or the work of a creative taxidermist. But they were certain that no such creature could possibly exist. It wasn't until the early 1800s that one was confirmed living and scientists began to study the incredible creatures. It was over the next 200 years that the truly incredible nature of this semi-aquatic egg-laying mammal was discovered. Among the incredible list of things that make the platypus truly unique is their ability to detect other animals by sensing electricity generated by muscle movement. Now that's pretty cool actually. Before we get to the number 1 entry on our list, take a second to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. And guess what? If this video gets 5,000 likes, I'll bring you a second collection of unbelievable creatures that people thought were fake but really exist.
I saved the best for last, but first, I have a quick challenge that takes only 5 seconds to complete. If you can leave a like and subscribe subscribe within the next 5 seconds, you'll get 10 years of amazing luck. Just try it, it really works.
Number 1. The Monkey Pig. In 2016, the internet ignited with curiosity after pictures of a piglet with a monkey's face emerged. But as people started to analyze the picture, they began to wonder if it was even real, or if it was just someone playing around with Photoshop. The picture spurred a lot of controversy, but soon the farmers went public and offered the media an opportunity to meet him. And thousands of people would end up meeting the odd-looking creature over its first few weeks of life. We'll tell you what came of this unique creature in just a second, but first let's talk a little about the medical possibility of this happening. The farmer who owned the pig stated that he suspects that a monkey broke into his pig pen late at night and mated with one of his pigs. At first blush, this sounds a bit far-fetched genetically, so we did do some digging, and it turns out that this type of cross-species breeding isn't unheard of. Much like ligers and even the common mule, it is very feasible for a monkey and a pig to reproduce. Some experts even assert that mating between wild pigs and chimpanzees could have created the species of great ape that would become the human beings of today. That's right, you and I could be descendants of something similar to this Chinese monkey-pig hybrid. However, sadly, this little guy didn't make it, and after a few weeks, he passed away of natural causes. But during his short life, he became a viral celebrity, with millions of people around the world hearing about the odd-looking hybrid. What was your favorite entry on the list? Tell me about it in the comments below, and make sure you click on one of the videos on the screen to hear another amazing story. See you later, everybody.